everybody, this is Christine with Coco Daisy, and today I'm going to share with you a couple of, well, I did a layout. I did a 12 by 12 layout and a spread in my Daisy planner. So if you do any kind of memory planning, then that's what this first one is most similar to. And using the modern memory keeping kit for November, which is from our Doodles and Dashes 2 collection. So as many of you know, the Doodles and Dashes original was one of my absolute favorite collections. And so we brought it back. We made it a little more fall. It used some of the same artwork, made some new artwork, and changed the coloring just a little bit so it was a little bit deeper and richer for fall. So I was excited to play with this because, as I said, it was one of my favorites. And in this kit, you get something new, which I will show you on my 12 by 12 layout. And then we have some of the fun things like we always have. We had some rub-ons, we had some puffy alphas, some beautiful chipboard as well, and some of these beautiful puffy stickers. I love those, the embossed puffy stickers. I didn't use those. Oh, I did. I used the little heart on this one. So again, this is my my Daisy planner, and we have these in the store. They come completely undated, and we give you stickers so that you can start with whatever month you want to use. I love this system for my memory planning. It makes it so simple to record all of the things in your life. It's not a special event. Yes, there's special events, that your vacations, things like that. My nephew's wedding, obviously, those things, but then the little things like just having coffee time with grandma and grandpa, or going out to dinner, or taking a walk and seeing a beautiful sunset. All of those things, that's why I love this particular system, and that's why I love doing this. It also reminds me to try and take a photo every day. You don't have to, but I try to take a photograph every single day and just record all of that little stuff that happens that you forget. Sometimes I think we put aside the little stuff thinking we only have to record the big stuff, and I think the little stuff is sometimes even more important. So that is why I love this system, and that's why I love to use this. And the modern memory keeping kit works perfectly for this. There's so many different ways, like especially the cards, for instance. I use these all the time in my memory planner. This was one of the 3x4 cards that I cut down and added in there. The larger 4x6 cards, like for instance, this one that says November, making it one to remember, would fit in the Saturday or Sunday if you cut it down. Or even if you ran it along the side, you could cut it down and have it fill in that space. And I like to do that with the larger cards. You can do that. You can even just use, if you want a pattern, if you want to add some pattern paper to one of the sections, like let's say you didn't take you didn't take a picture for that day, you can always do some stamping in that section. You can add a card, you can add some of the pattern paper and fill it in that way as well. So I added a little card there. I used our number stamp, which I don't know if we have any of those in the store right now. I'll have to check, but if we don't, that's something I'll try to keep in stock, but I'll double check and see if those are in there. So I just stamped my dates on there. I did one larger photograph on here. I actually take my pages out, see that? And then I go back in and glue them back in because I don't use this section. So I cut them out. I cut these out and then I glue them in. So that's why you see them moving. I haven't glued them in yet. It makes it easier for me to stamp and work with them, and then I put them into the book because I do like the coil binding. So it's a little trick that I do. Some die cuts. There's a few rub-ons in here as well, and that's what I love about the rub-ons. So I had this down, I had the photograph down, and I had stamped my date, and then I did the rub-on over top of everything. And I love how that layers over those items, and it just kind of adds that extra layer, and it makes it just kind of cohesive, and it brings it all together. I like that. And then sometimes you will have more than one picture that you want to put on the day. And so I just do a crossover here. So there's 3 pictures here from when Mom and I went to the flea market. I layered 2 of them here and then just added this one here kind of at an angle. So you know that this goes together, that it's not necessarily part of Thursday, you know that it's part of Friday. But there's really no rules. I mean, you don't have to necessarily stick to having it in that section, just like I did with this one, where I did a larger picture and it kind of ran over into what I usually use almost as like the title page is this one right here. So I have the fall is here. I used the puffy alphas for that. I used the puffy alphas for the wedding. I did a little bit of stamping using the stamp set, the Getting Cozy. I stamped that there. I thought that was cute. Die cut some chipboard. Yeah. And then all of that just kind of together and you get this great spread. And the other thing that I've started doing is you can order the sticker paper that you can print on. So you just run it through your printer and you can add your journaling. I cut it out and put it down and I get that finished look that I like because as a lot of you know, I'm not too fond of my handwriting. I have been in my older ones to get caught up. I have been using my handwriting, so I'm good there. So there is some of my handwriting out there in the universe, but I've been using the sticker paper to do my other journaling, and I really like how that looks. So that is my layout, my spread in my Daisy planner. Then I'm going to show you my 12 by 12. This is my 12 by 12 layout. Get that on there for you. Okay. So this one, and again, I used one, actually 2. I used the other 2 4x6 cards for the paper on here. I had a number of different colors going on in Zach's photographs, and I wanted to not like take away from the colors that are around him and the colors that he's got going on in his outfits. So I picked kind of I wanted a little bit more of a neutral palette. The gold really wasn't doing it for me. There was a little bit in there, and I didn't want to use the busy leaves on this one. So what I did like the black though, but I didn't want to overpower. So what I did is I used the 2 of the 4x6 cards. The one has this pretty kind of cream color, and this has kind of a sagey green, and the pattern is a little bit smaller. So what I liked about that is it kind of mimics the greens that are in the pictures, but it's also, a lot of times green can kind of be a neutral. So those 2 together, I feel like add some nice pattern and some nice visual interest, but they're not overpowering because I do have 3 photographs going on here. So again, that's another great way to use your cards. You're going to get a lot more patterns. If you want more pattern paper bits and stuff, you can cut these up. So obviously it's not going to fit the whole width of my 12 by 12 paper, but all I did was just cut it in half, hide the seam, and then hide the seam. So you could do that even with this, and it would look like you had this whole row of all of the flowers and the wildflowers and that along the background if you wanted to. So that's another good little trick. If you have pieces like that, or if you have leftover pieces, scraps of your pattern paper, and you're like, how am I going to make this fit on a 12 by 12? Well, you don't have to, it doesn't have to run all the way behind your photos. Nobody sees what's behind the photos. So just cut it and then you can do it that way. So that's what I did. So that is a 4x6 card. This is a 4x6 card. This one I cut down to fit the same size as the photograph. I just laid those down. And then what's new, and this is so fun. Now each package, you will get 4 of them, and they are library pockets. So you'll get them like this, and what you'll need to do is fold them and then create your pocket. So you'll need some strong adhesive here and here, and then you can create your library pocket. Now, if you want it to look like a true library pocket, you would leave that flap up like that, But if you wanted to, it is scored. You could make a little envelope like that, or you could put it down like that and create an envelope that way as well. So you have a couple of different ways to use them. But if you want to make it look like a library pocket, you would do that. And then you can just tuck in the little library card. So super cute, and I love these. I love these for if you wanted to add journaling in there, or like what I did here, I layered a couple of extra photographs. These are his senior pictures, and I was there when he was having them taken, and so I was just kind of snapping a couple. And so I added these in there, and then I added a couple of the little tab die cuts to the back, so that if you want to pull them out, you can. So those are layered in there. There are some other die cuts of the leaves. So this one I raised up on a little foam adhesive. These are just stuck down. Oh, and then just to kind of ground everything so that it didn't look like it was all floating, I wanted to have something a little heavier to ground everything, and that's what I used this black pattern paper for. I just cut a couple of strips and ran those along the bottom, and it just tends to kind of ground everything, like I said, and keep your eye in the middle, focused in the middle of the page. I just adhered this on here with a little bit of foam adhesive so it's raised up above everything. I may go in, I did tuck a card in here, I may go in and add some journaling on there. But this also leaves me, when we do get his actual pictures back and I can print out some of the actual pictures, I can tuck more in here as well. And that's what I like about these little cards. I used a piece of the chipboard for in the middle of that one. It worked perfect because it has a little circle right there. I added that. The Happy Moments chipboard with one of the die cuts. This also was a little die cut. And then the Puffy Alphas. So super simple, super clean, but it gives you the opportunity to add a lot of photographs and keep them all tucked in there, and then you have them. And because you don't want the page, I'm a simple scrapbooker to begin with. I don't like a lot of layers. Sometimes I'll go on a kick where I do add a bunch of layers. If I have one large, really beautiful photograph, then I feel more comfortable adding a lot of layers. But if I'm going to use a number of photographs, I generally try to keep everything a little more balanced and simple and let the photographs kind of shine. So that is what I did here. So that is my 12 by 12 layout and the spread that I did in my Daisy planner. I hope that you've learned a couple tricks and a couple of ideas. And remember, any of these things you can take and use the bones of and recreate and sketch them out and use them on your own projects.